Up next on the Zapata Brand Podcast, he has been featured in Forbes magazine. He has written a best-selling book and is the founder of Iconic Alliance. The Zapata Brand welcomes Kris Whitehead.
Hey guys, welcome to the Zapata Brand Podcast. With me today is an iconic individual. And yes, that is a pun. His name is Kris Whitehead. And I'm going to introduce him to you, but actually, I'm going to have him do it for you. Kris, give your elevator pitch as to who you are.
Appreciate you having me on your show, George. My name is Kris Whitehead. What we stand for and the way that I look at it is, do you know how most people know that the internet is something that has unlimited amounts of leads?
Yeah.
And the truth is that most people don't know what to do with it, how to get them. Our company not only teaches people how to extract organic leads online, but I've been a business owner for 25 years. So I've learned that there are pillars to living a truly successful life that don't just have to do with making money. You have faith, family, fitness, finance, fun. And when you create harmony amongst all of those things, you can start to live a very, very successful life. And Iconic Alliance teaches people exactly how to do that.
Wow. And you've owned this company for how long now?
So it started as Think to Succeed in 2012. And I branded it Iconic Alliance in 2019. I wrote a best-selling book and started speaking on stages and being on television interviews, being written up in magazines and doing tons and tons of podcasts. And it started with me when I joined a mastermind. And we ended up growing that mastermind from about 3.4 million to 24 million in 18 months. And I was a director of executive coaching. So I had the opportunity to talk to people all over the United States. Some were extremely successful financially, and some were just starting out in business. And what I found out, George, is there really aren't any business problems. We can help people build business. It's actually very simple. It's been documented for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and we can help you make money. But what I found is that there were people problems. People had issues with their relationships, with their significant other, with their children, with themselves. They had lost touch with their health. They had lost touch with why they were building a business to begin with, because they had, become an automaton. And the truth is, I believe most people start a business, yes, to make money, but more importantly, they want freedom. And people were finding themselves feeling locked in, feeling that they were anything but free, feeling like that they were the single source or point that if they failed, their business would fail. And I understand that. I've been in business for 25 years. I own a very successful remodeling company. And there were many, many years where I felt that I had made a horrible decision, because not only was I not making money, but I had no life to go along with it. And as I started to learn and apply these things to my own life, not only did I start to have success, but we started to share this outward with other people. And as they took small steps every single day in the direction of what their goals and dreams were, something that I call the result of the result, they started focusing on that secondary result. The how started showing up. They started making incremental progress. And just in a matter of 6 months, their lives would be completely different. And now they were internally motivated to keep driving forward to accomplish their goals and dreams. And I don't know about you, I love accomplishing things. Feels great. But it is way cooler to see people that trust in you, to take your advice, to move forward. And you can see it in their eyes and their countenance when they start having that success that they didn't think was going to be there. Dude, I'm way more excited about that. When I get DMs or text messages and they're like, thank you so much for writing that or saying that or helping me with this, it's like, man, I feel like I have a larger purpose in life than just feeding my own belly. And this is part of what you do too. And I love hooking up with people that will just want to make the world a better place.
Yeah, and that's what I've noticed about you. I've gone through my research and seen you on the podcast and seen you on your own podcast that you have now. And but before we get into that, because there's a couple spaces that you rattled off there that I want to get into.
Sure.
Who was Kris as a kid, as a youth, and what propelled you to all of a sudden? Okay, so you obviously were not just this great speaker and great motivational speaker and builder.
Sure.
What were you before that? Like where did you all of a sudden take that turn? But go back to your in school as to who you were.
Okay. So my parents got divorced when I was 2. So I really didn't know anything different. My dad ended up moving 4 hours away, and by the time I was 11 years old, I was riding Trailways buses between Southern Virginia and Northern Virginia. It's about a 3.5, 4 hour trip every other weekend. Spent a lot of time by myself reading Conan magazines. Spent a lot of time uh, just by myself in general. And when I wasn't, practicing art, drawing what I had in the magazines, I was playing sports. I was playing baseball. And in the South, baseball is revered on the level of college football and everything else. And that was my goal, was to go play college baseball and then go play in the pros. And I ended up messing my arm up and started to play golf instead. But in the process of playing sports, I also fell in love with drama. I thought it would be fun to be in a play. So in middle school, I applied to be in a play. They let me be backhand or backstage hand. By the time I was in high school, I was in a play, and by the time I was in senior year, I was the lead male actor in The Sound of Music. I was Captain Von Trapp, and that gave me my opportunity to be in front of 500 people with bright lights shining in my face and memorize lines. Then in college, I took a leadership course where public speaking, and started to fall in love with that. I was not good, and even as long as like 2009 is when I really started making videos, because I knew the social media thing was going to be something. I just didn't know what it was. And George, it used to take me 4 hours to make a 4-minute video, and they were absolutely horrible. They were so salesy. They were so many scenes cut out. I'm holding my hands like this. My family used to make fun of me all the time. I was doing every trick in the book, and I was not being authentic.
Right.
I was a desperate person trying to make money. I looked like it, but here's what I'm proud about. I have never quit on myself. And that is the only thing in my life that I'm proud about, is that I've never quit. Because what I have found, especially, I'm getting ready to turn 50 this month, and I'm having major life goals come to realization, things that were deep seated in me. I talked about my parents not being together. My mom works with me. My sister works with me. My stepson works with me. I've created a true family business, online and offline, so that we can holistically live together. And I didn't realize that as a young boy, all I was doing was trying to figure out ways to bring all of this back together, the thing that I massively wanted. It hasn't been pretty. I have definitely done the entrepreneurial squiggly thing from point to point. But because I didn't quit, I'm starting to realize this dream that almost I wouldn't speak out of my mouth. I almost didn't believe that it could happen for me. And because it's happening for me, my purpose is fulfilled. And I want other people to experience that, whatever it is. Yours doesn't have to be anything like mine, but I want to be the kind of person that encourages people to go after it, because this is the one life you have to live. This is the one chance that you have to really go out there and leave it all out on the battlefield. And as I've done that and surrounded myself with other people that have done that, I find that I not only have the internal motivation, but I have the people around me that can support me, to help, cheer me on and clap me on. And of course, I'm going to turn right around and do the same thing for them, because it feels like being on a team again. And I absolutely love it, even as an entrepreneur.
And here's a couple things I extrapolated out of that thing. And it's the unfortunate part of being an entrepreneur. I do not know your status, marital status. Were you divorced, or were you divorced currently, or are you married now and were divorced?
So I was married for 13 years.
Okay.
And I got divorced in 2009. And I have been now with the same woman for 15 years.
Okay, because that's what I'm trying to get here. Similar situation to me, with someone for years. My actually ex-father-in-law still works for me. But the dynamics of being an entrepreneur, and you are a very driven person. I can just tell by your demeanor and how you are. How you don't quit, you get to what you want. Did that play a major role in your first marriage?
As far as being driven?
Well, as
Yes.
far as
So George, I think I get what you're asking. So here's how it worked out, right? I was 22 years old. I quit college 13 credits shy of graduating. I met this young lady who was 10 years older than me, and she was safe, very, very safe. And I had a lot of drama in my upbringing. I created a lot of drama and all sorts of stuff. And so when I got together with her, she allowed me to heal. It's one of the best gifts I've ever been given, because she didn't create any drama. The problem is that I am very driven. And as I started to either like it was incremental success. Like I've had employees, I've had over 300 employees in my career, but I started out a business, which I had no business owning, in a trade that I knew nothing about. And I had 4 employees day one. I wanted to make money, but I also wanted to go on vacations. I wanted to have the freedom and the time. And at the time, my wife was a very civic minded person. She was an EMT. She was big in the church. She was big in the community. And she'd grown up in North Carolina where that was really huge where she was.
Mhm.
And what really started happening, dude, and we've heard this story, we're going like this. Then I start going like this, and she's still going like this. And all of a sudden, 7 years, 8 years into the relationship, I start questioning. I start having dreams. I start going, oh my God, I'm going to do what my parents did. And this is never who I wanted to be. I know the kind of destruction that creates, but I'm actually not in love with this woman.
Mm.
And the worst thing that I could do is pretend for the remainder of our time, even for our son, pretend for the remainder of our lives that I truly loved her. That's not fair to her.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to have the hard conversation. It was really crappy, because
Mm-hmm.
she's a good person. She's a very good person. But I started to grow up and realize that I had made decisions as a 22-year-old that I didn't feel at 33, 34 years old. And by the time I turned 35, I said, we're going to get separated. And that's when I chose to move to New Hampshire, about 1,000 miles away. And that is when Superman went back to the cave and gave his powers up, and then went to the shiny diner, and 2 rednecks kicked his ass. That's exactly what happened to me when I moved to New Hampshire. Everything that I used to succeed at in Virginia, I was doing the same things up here, but getting the exact opposite results. And it drove me into a very, very dark place. And again, I'm proud that I didn't quit. I'd come so far, and I'd put myself in such a situation that there were only 2 options. Option
Mm-hmm.
number 1 is to fade into nothingness forever. Option number 2 was put the pedal to the metal and truly give myself permission to go for it. In 2019 or 2020, 2019, I wrote a book called Becoming Iconic: How to Make Today's Ceiling Tomorrow's Floor. And the reason I have that tagline, how to make today's ceiling tomorrow's floor, what I had realized is through so many experiences in my life as an entrepreneur, so many judgment calls by other people, and I wrote about it in the book, I had started to put my own glass ceiling over my head saying, I'll never have that kind of lifestyle. I'll never have that stuff. Just be content that you own your own business, Kris. That's good enough. But you know what, George? Internally, it wasn't good enough. The woman that I'm married to now, she's my absolute best friend on earth. We fight like cats and dogs sometimes. It's amazing how that happens. But she truly is my best friend, and I'm her best friend. I get her. She gets me. We dovetail together. And what I've learned in all relationships is that if we don't continue to nurture and feed them, they will naturally start to do this no matter what they are. So I have put a lot of focus on making sure that the example that I live for our children, as well as for my significant other, that they are proud of me for one thing, not the results that I get, but for the fact that they see me in the trenches, digging, struggling, trying. And just as we accomplish one thing, I put new things in place, because what I've truly realized is it's never the accomplishment of a goal that really brings us happiness.
Mm-hmm.
It's the progressive pursuit of a worthwhile goal brings us happiness. And
Mm-hmm.
dude, like I said, I'm almost 50 years old. I've got 30, 40 more years. All I know is 50 has come very, very quickly. It's now time for me to build a legacy with other people that creates for me internally that my life was a life well lived.
So take me back to that day. So you go there, you move to New Hampshire to start what you feel is your next chapter of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Very difficult at the time, children involved in the whole bit.
Mm-hmm.
How did you gather enough confidence in yourself? Because I think you'd be totally destroyed. Like, what did you turn to? Did you turn to religion? Did you turn to friends? Did you turn to family? You had to have some sort of base, because I don't think you could just go up to a place 1,000 miles away. As driven as you are, as I think you're an alpha, like myself. There has to be something, because it almost seems like you're at the lowest of the low. And to my audience, I always say it doesn't always look so great on the inside as it does on the outside. The outside, it looks great. You have a great business. I have a successful business here. I deal with all the colleges. Everybody knows who you are. It's a small town. That's good and bad. Um, but there has to be something, some sort of like rock bottom time. And at that time, what did you feel? And to all of a sudden turn your life to say, no, this is the end. This is where it stops. It's time to rebuild that Superman, as you put it.
Well, so think about it. I did not come up with the moniker Faith, Family, Fitness, and Finance. Kevin Nations came up with that.
Mhm.
We did add fun to the end of it because that's important. But I realized that my entire life, I played sports, I did school, I was in drama, I was artistic. Like,
Mhm.
dude, I was creating pillars in my own life of who Kris is. What I recognized um, is that maybe I could maintain plates spinning on two of those pillars at any given time, especially as I was building business, but certainly not all four. As I came up here, um, I had the confidence that anything I put my mind to that I can conceive, I can achieve. I just believe that about myself. And I've taken risks on myself. Everybody has. But I've
Mhm.
taken risk. And instead of me always looking for the reward as the result, the reward is, what did I learn? Did I gain wisdom from that?
Right.
Am I making connections toward this ultimate destination that I want to get to? And to round out the story, I also turned to drinking,
Mm.
man.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes. And it
Okay.
was a way to calm my nerves in the evening. It
Mhm.
was a way to just forget about the pain that I was
Mhm.
going through, possibly some of the pain that I had caused, all that kind of stuff, self-loathing stuff.
Right.
And in 2018, I got a DUI.
Oh, that's never
Yep.
good.
And I've never been in the court system, never had anything happen.
Mhm.
I ended up not eating dinner, and I was actually at this office complex that I have. We have 5,000 square feet here, and I'm reading emails and sipping on some liquor. And I woke up at 11:30 at night and drove home because I was like, "Uh-oh," just woke up and drove home and drove right into a tree. And I'm not proud about it, but I am willing to talk about it to help other people possibly avoid
Mhm.
it. I had to face Robin. I had to face the kids. Certainly, it almost cost me almost a $500,000 when it's all said and done,
Yeah.
wrecking that truck. Um, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I said, you know what? No more playing around, Kris. The truth is, sir, you finally got caught. You've been playing this Russian roulette game for so long that you
Mhm.
should have been anyway. Thank God you didn't hurt anybody, including yourself,
Hmm.
but that might be the only chance you're ever given. And wouldn't it be a waste to have all these wonderful intentions and ideas and things that you want to do to help other people, but you end up wiping yourself out before you even are given the real opportunity to do it? So the straw broke. And when the straw broke, I lost 45 pounds. I got myself mentally and physically back to what got me to where I began as an entrepreneur, and I started building with a really open mind. And so what I would do is I'd empty my cup, act like a beginner, fill my cup up. And I was just using an older person's brain to cipher through the information because I still made the same mistakes. I just made them a lot quicker.
Right. Now, did
So
you
that's the truth of the story.
okay, that's that's a little bit different than I expected, to be honest with
mm,
you.
mm,
Okay, so, well, that just shows you the vulnerability of everybody. It really does. You can be vulnerable,
mm-hmm,
and that's actually a good trait to have, to show someone vulnerability.
mm-hmm.
Unless you're in the boxing game like I am, you don't wanna do that. But,
No.
the vulnerability that you show to people, was that a positive or a negative? And I mean it, and I don't mean it saying obviously it's a negative thing, but is it a positive to show people that you can yourself make a mistake, come back, and now build up even bigger? Because after this happens, you turn your life around, you're now
Mm-hmm,
building a big, huge business.
mm-hmm.
So would you look at that as more of a positive or a negative? And at the time it was bad, but right now in your life, where do you look at it?
So a long time ago, man, and this comes from a lot of experiences. We own a design build remodeling company now. When I started out, I was a subcontractor. I would be in paint blues and crap caulk stuff all over me, and I'd go knock on someone's door, and the architect would be there, and she'd cross her arms and look me up and down like I'm an absolute nobody. And I started over time not caring what other people think as much of me, because I realized how, like, many people play a game. Who they are on the outside is not who they are internally, not who they are around their family or their employees or whatever. And I started with the belief that, you know what, I'm going to stop lying to myself, and I'm going to stop lying to other people. And this is my story. And if you want to judge me for it, maybe that's why I'm an entrepreneur, because good luck trying to do anything about it. You can't fire me. And I do good work. I do quality work, and I do a lot of good stuff out there. And if I have to take a couple of those jelly beans to use to get some grace from other people, then my hope is this: by telling you what I did, how I did it, why it came to that conclusion, maybe it'll save one person from harming someone. Who knows? Maybe it'll even save my kids from getting hurt by someone.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel it as an obligation. If we're going to call ourselves leaders in the industry, if I'm going to take the amount of money that I have invested to become an influencer and to put messages out online and to write books and to host, we're standing inside of one of my teaching complexes right now. It's where their step and repeat banner is behind me. Like, I'm bringing people in. Well, I thought about it when I was a younger entrepreneur. I wanted information like terribly, but I didn't trust anybody because I was pretty sure that what they said and what they did were different. So I suffered for 20 good years in business because my mindset. I just want to be an example of someone who is who they say they are, who can do what they say they can do, and nothing more and nothing less. Because I also believe that by putting that vibration out into the universe, those are the kind of people I attract to me. And I've proven it. It is true. When I'm honest, when I'm in integrity, when I work with morals and ethics that are mine and I'm willing to display them, guess what? Other people with the same belief systems come and want to hang out around me, clients as well as friends. And that makes my life a lot better. Look, there are 8 billion people here, 8 billion. I don't need 1% of those people to like me or follow me to be highly successful in all areas of my life. Most people don't even have one other person that likes them that much. So I'm blessed to have 12, 15, 30, 100 people that know who I am, that believe in who I am, and that maybe I can just add some value to their lives. Because if I can do it, and that's why I tell the story. If I can do it, oh, but you're so good on stage. Oh, you've written a book. Oh, no, I'm a moron. I've made so many mistakes. I'm proud I didn't quit. I'm just proud that I didn't quit. Why? What else was I going to do? Those are my only options. Quit and don't be counted, or don't quit and see where this thing goes. And I was tired of being a quitter, man.
Right. Now, here's where that's a perfect segue to what I'm talking about. Your first business, number one, is it your remodeling business? Is that number one?
Yes.
Or is it your, okay. So my business is my bagel business, but I want to get into your space. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, if you're saying this is my number one business here,
Mm-hmm.
how do you separate the two from saying I do this on Monday through Friday, but on the weekends I'm here? How do you separate those two? Because I find that very difficult for me.
When I first started, it was doing it in the evenings. It was getting on Zoom calls back before everybody knew what Zoom was, or Skype or whatever, talking to people on social media, building rapport up. The truth is now I teach people exactly how to do it. Number one, we can get you leads. We can get you leads organically. Number two, you're going to want to start a Facebook group. So you use these tools that are available to you that are low cost to collect people. You offer value inside of that, and people will start eventually purchasing from you through things called funnels, which we teach people how to do. But the biggest thing that I teach people how to do so that you have time is called delegate.
Okay.
Now, I've been in business a long time, man. So other people run my business,
and that's
even Iconic.
That's hard for me. That's hard for me. But here's what I'm trying to get at with that.
Okay.
Do you ever feel, or did you ever feel that you're sitting there teaching people, you do this in your business, and you have that strong personality, you come off, this is how successful you're going to be. But on the other end, you weren't as successful or where you wanted to be. So you almost feel like you're giving fake info out.
That's when I was doing those videos back in the
When you
day.
first started, right. Okay.
Yeah, dude, I was an absolute BS artist. I
Okay,
didn't
so
know it. I didn't
you
know it. I thought I was doing what everybody did.
your mentality in that state, because that's what I struggle with. I struggle with trying to get through that whole thing, and we'll have really good days and I'll have really good bad days. How do you get what's your mentality? Like, how do you switch that off? It's hard. It's very hard and difficult for me to do. So my audience, I'm trying to gauge that, because I know a lot of people I talk to want to get in that space where they want to do the speaking and they want to do this, but they have a business that's failing.
So I think the first thing that, at least this is my opinion, I used to covet money, and I think a lot of people covet money. And I'm not trying to harp down on people's faith, but money is not a bad thing. The love of money is, because it will change how you do everything. And so you can give people all the techniques that they need in order to scale and drive their business upward. But what you can't do is change someone's mindset easily. So I listen on average to about 100 books a year. I read books. I went and joined masterminds where other people were having success that could teach me how to delegate, and truly step by step. And it would be a little thing at a time. Step by step, I would have a mindset shift and a mindset shift and a mindset shift and a mindset shift. And as I did that, I started becoming more solid with who I am as a person. And I wrote it in my book. No is a complete sentence. I had to learn how to tell people no and just stop after the word no, not explain myself for 3 paragraphs as to why, I can't do what you want me to do. Other people come from the other side. But as we learn the harmony with that, we start to create more opportunity for time freedom for ourselves. As we create more time freedom, hopefully we have bigger and loftier goals and dreams. And then we start saying, well, the thing I'm doing here, if I scale that, will not get me to this. So I have to either get rid of this or delegate it to someone else to make a channel clear to do this thing. So for me, I started in the evenings. See, I kind of work weekends too. I'd kind of do whatever I had to do whenever I had to do it. But I also wasn't adding real value to other people. What I was doing was learning things and then parroting everything that I just learned. So I was trying to be Tony Robbins. I was trying to be, Jack Canfield. I was trying to position myself in the proper way. So, and instead of just being who I am, and instead what I started to do was I started to see in the marketplace that here is a problem that I understand how to solve. And then I spent my time, instead of marketing all the time to try to get people in and feel fake for what I was doing, I actually just became an expert at this thing. And I speak about it in my own personality, my own way of looking at it. And if it relates to you, follow along. Let's talk some more. And what I did in order to separate myself from my competition is I dropped tons and tons and tons of value at zero cost to build know, like, trust with people, so that by the time that they say yes to coming and being a part of what we do, it's really me just getting on the phone with them or talking to them in a DM, and they're like, can you tell me what the levels are of your thing? And I'm like, sure, they're here. Let's hop on the phone real quick and see where you are in business and life, and I'll make a recommendation which one's for you. And I'll tell them, and they go, okay. And then they decide to join. It's a whole different way of doing things than the way that I was being taught, or at least the way I was receiving information online. And when I just started to focus on value only, then I started to go, oh, now that I have something to offer, how do I market this the best way? And that's when everything else started to come into play. So I just kind of put the cart before the horse for a while.
And then when you did that, when was the first time that you got on? So you were like, I'm going to go on stage. This is what I'm going to do. And go back to that date. Do you remember? I'm sure you do. The first time. And what did you learn? What did you learn from that when you first did? Like, what did you learn about you that you didn't know? When you first got on that stage, and here you are in front of people.
Okay, so the first time I did it, vis-a-vis not networking, not because of a remodeling company, but I was doing it because of personal development. It was 2012. It was my own stage. I'd paid the hotel the money for it. And what I learned was that I didn't have a lot of value to offer. It was a dog and pony show. I brought 6 or 7 other people with me. They carried it. And at the end of it, I had no second step for everyone. So everybody loved the event, but didn't know what to do. Fast forward to 2019, and as I joined Mastermind, it probably had 500 people in it total at the time. All of those people paid $3,000 a year to be a part of it, and it was pretty much an online only. Then we open it up to a high level tier, and I start flying every month to go to this location. And I gave myself permission to ask the owner if I could create my own stage in his lobby and invite some of his members for no cost just to come listen to me talk. We did it once. I paid for it, like $400 just for some food. 30 or 40 people showed up. They loved it. We did it again the following month. I had 4 people with me talking at that, or 3 other people talking at that time. Then it started to grow. The next thing you know, 6 months later, I'm up on that person's stage in front of 150, 200 people. And I was nervous because that had been a while since I'd been in front of that many people. Next thing you know, I'm in front of 500, 600 people, then 1,000. And each time, what I am doing is I'm growing. I'm growing like a weed. And what Kris talked about last month was not what he talks about the following month, and not the following month. And here's the real thing that I did. And one of my contemporaries, really, really good friend of mine, Mike Claudio, we ran through this process together. He wrote a post the other day and he goes, you know what? I used to prepare PowerPoint presentations. I used to have slide decks and everything ready. He goes, now I just show up and let God talk through me. And that was, George, that's what I did that really set me apart from everybody else that was speaking on stage. I would show up and wouldn't know what to say until I stood on the stage. And then I would just step back and whatever came out, came out. And now that's exactly how I live my life when I speak. And it's a very empowering thing because I take all of the knowledge that I'm constantly pouring into my head. I step on stage. I don't know if I'm perceiving what's going on or energetically what's happening, but it'll just start to hit me. And we just start picking and going down a thread. And we're talking about leadership or sales or marketing or whatever. And I love it because I will never say the same conversation twice.
Now, do you like that going in like, or do, because I know some people who want to be prepared.
So I used to want to be prepared, but what I find is that turns me into an automaton and it's not the real me. So I'm not saying it's right for everybody, but what I'm saying for me, yes, absolutely. I love it. Did I like it when I first started doing it? No, it was nerve wracking because I'm getting ready to step on stage. I'm like, what if I bomb? What if I just stand there and blink at people? But I just kept trusting the process and I kept trusting that I was ready and I kept trusting. And to me, it's like game day. We can go and practice and practice and practice, but on game day, you either are swinging at the ball or you're not. You either get called out or you don't. So let's go and play the game, man. And so to me, that was a next level way of communicating with people in a very vulnerable and authentic way. Instead of being prepared, instead of being salesy, instead of having go buy my books at the back of the room, like there's none of that.
And I love that. I love that you know, natural, organic person that you are. That's a good thing to me. That's a sale. I do not like, and I know we talked off the air a little bit, like an Andy Elliott. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a guy who is, see, I think he has a short window. And I say that because of where we're heading now with the economy. When people have money and they want to do, you know, I was stupid enough to sign up for a million different things. Okay. Because there was, you know, when COVID was here, and for some reason our business exploded. Not good for the personal, you know, development, you know, conference scene, but home building, remodeling, probably very good.
We did well.
Right. So I think when that stuff happens and people start, you know, crunching their dollars, a pushy salesman, he would bash me if he saw me, he would kill me. But that's not attractive to me. Somebody like you who comes off as organic and natural, and hey, I'm your boy, and that's that. If you can go here, you can go here. That I think has a long-term window, as opposed to someone who wants to be a social media star right here. That's what I think.
Dude, like you, I literally own a brick and mortar business. Now I decided to put myself out into the world, into the internet world. So now I also own an online business. How much does it take for me to screw up in any one of those for it to destroy everything?
Right.
So I have to live in integrity, my understanding of it, if I want to maintain the foundation of what I've put together. I kind of enjoy it. And I'm more relational. I'm not transactional. And that's also taken a lot of years. I was a desperate sales guy for a while. I was pushy. And it never resonated with me. But I started just to realize, man, if I act that way with prospects, guess who I also act that way with? My kids. Guess who I also act that way with? My wife. Guess who I also act that way with? My friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder why I'm constantly bitching and complaining in the background about all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, man. What you're mad at is what you're putting out there, because that's what's being mirrored back to you. So I just decided to change all of that. And what I found, business is still tough. I mean, it's why so many people fail at it. But I started finding newer and newer levels of success, and I found it cleared the mechanism so that I could get from point A to point B a lot quicker. So I'm a lot less confused than I used to be.
Yeah, and I'm not, and this is, don't take this the wrong way. What I'm saying is,
Okay.
do you find it a challenge to follow your your moral standards? And I only say this because of this. There's so many temptations, so many, if someone says, "Hey, Kris, let's go out and have a drink," or "Hey, do you find that a challenge?"
Yes.
Okay. At least we're on the same page with that, because I find it challenging, because I will tell you, I've never been to a strip club. I've never been to, I've never smoked. I never drank. I never do drugs. But it is a challenge because you're surrounded by a lot of that. In your experience, now that you're getting on a higher level, you're, rubbing shoulders and shaking hands with people that are on a high level. They like to, they like to be out there in the public, club, women, drug scene, even alcohol. Do you find it a struggle? And what do you do when you approach that way?
So I no longer find those parts of it a struggle. I find the parts of my struggle, what those things are not important, because it's always a thorn in your side. It's always a go-to to give yourself the easy path. What I have done to insulate myself is I have very, very good people around me. And so the way that I look at it is this: maybe I don't want to go to the gym. Probably would give myself permission not to go to the gym if all I did was go to the gym by myself. But I know that I'll go to the gym for you. So guess what I'm going to do? Hey, George, you want to start going to LA Fitness or 24-hour Fitness or whatever the name of it? You want to start going and working out with me? Yeah, I'll show up for you. So I start putting things in place that don't give me a choice. I just burned that boat. And I've found that where I've done that in my life, I operate very cleanly, because I'm a guy. I don't want to think about stuff too much. I don't want to get into feelings too much. I don't want to, it's overwhelming. Like, I want a routine, but I want some uncertainty at the same time, So as I set these things in place that are go-tos, I don't have to think about them anymore. So when someone comes and says, "Do you want to go to a strip club?" It's like, no, no, I don't want to. Now, if somebody were to say, "Hey, do you want to go to Scotland and play golf?" Now that becomes a struggle. I have a lot of opportunities. I'm going to have to cancel these 8 podcasts. I can't go speak over here. And that becomes a struggle.
Right.
So see, it's just new levels or new devils, struggle. Man.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Speaking with you and Tom, I've had 2 epiphanies in both podcasts that I've had. One is what my value was, and 2, surrounding yourself with the better people. I'm kind of a loner, and I think that's sometimes not good, because I just don't, not that I don't like to be around people. I want to get my stuff done in a certain way, and that could be good and bad. And the thing is, when you have time and you have time to be alone, sometimes that could be a negative thing. And I struggled with that. And I think that's what put me into the position of not wanting to do the space that you're in now. Because I always thought, what would other people think of me? But I'm good here alone. But out here, like I am now, I'm in the space now, whereas I'm out there. So one of the things I always was interested in is this 75 hard. And I talked to Tom about it, and now I want to talk to you about it. What exactly does it entail?
Okay. So number one, I turned 50 on October 30th, George. And since you're so interested in it, on October 31st, I will be starting 75 hard again. And I do it in the winter because it's harder. It's like, don't give me the belt, give me the hammer. 75 hard is real simple, man. It's 2 workouts a day. They have to be 3 hours apart. One of them has to be outdoors. They have to be a minimum of 45 minutes each. Number 2, you will drink a gallon of water a day. Number 3, there is no alcohol while you're on 75 hard.
Okay.
Number 4, you will have to take a selfie every single day. And you will also have to read 10 pages of a personal or professional development book. If you are on day 67 and you forget to do any one of those tasks, you will start over at day 1. Or you can quit if you like to be a quitter. So I utilize 75 hard as a hard reset for mindset, not for physicality, not for alcohol, not for anything. It's you learn how to stack early in your morning. Usually by 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm half to 3/4 of a gallon down of water. Like I front load everything. And I get my workout in super early so that I can do my other one later. And also I end up not having to pee all night long if I get all my water in and blah, 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 all of those different things.
Okay.
Yeah, front load the water, front load the workout. I love to read, so it's not a big deal. The hardest one for me is the selfie. But Andy, the program is made by Andy Frisella. And so you can go to 75hard.com or andyfrisella.com. There's a $5 app that you can download on your phone that'll remind you, did you get everything done? And that saved my butt a few times doing 75 hard because I'll be in bed. My phone will go off at 11 going, did you take the selfie? I have until midnight. Like, nope, stand out of bed, butt naked, throw the phone back and sit down. I get my thing done. So
no, wait, wait. Now you got to take a selfie without your shirt and everything.
No, you don't have to, but I mean,
the
whole point is to see you from day one,
but only
and
you
then compare. Yeah, you don't show.
Okay. I thought that went out to everybody. Your selfie. I was like, oh,
well, you can, but no, you don't have to.
No, I don't want to do that. Okay, all right. So, and then how does the 75 hard help you business wise?
Oh my gosh, man. When you have to get 5 critical things done a day and they're non-negotiables, business is very much like that. So what I typically do is the hardest thing first in business as well as in 75 hard. The real thing about 75 hard, there's so many people, and I was one of them. I started it in the first 20 or 30 days. I was like, this is cake. Like I'm doing this. I have a 40-pound weight vest on, walking out in the snow in New England, no big deal. About day 32, I was like, the hell with this, man. This is horrible. And that's when 75 hard began for me because it's a mental toughness challenge more than any other kind of challenge. And growing business is very similar. And you know this. There are many, many times where I've sat there at night going, why am I doing this? What is going on? I cannot believe there was only one excuse that would get them out of me firing them, and they literally used it. So now I have to wait, even though I'm pretty sure. And the vendor didn't do this. This person didn't pay us here. Well, 75 hard teaches me to persevere. 75 hard teaches me that I can accomplish anything with consistency and doing the work every single day. The question is what are my 5 critical tasks? And so that mental toughness of not quitting in 75 hard translates into the mental toughness of not quitting on yourself in other areas. And dude, there is this concept. Jordan Peterson even talks about it. If you will incrementally reward yourself toward the goal that you are achieving, what you do is teach yourself to keep taking incremental steps toward it. And so it's very much like, and they did this experiment with rats. They had a rat. If the rat took a step towards the thing that gave them food, they would give it a little piece of food. The next time it would take one step, they wouldn't give it. So it would take another step and they give it another piece of food. And then eventually it gets and puts its hand on the lever, but it doesn't push the lever and they give it a piece of food. Then it doesn't get the food when it just puts it, and it finally pushes the lever and the food comes out. They have now successfully gotten the rat to go all the way to the goal. Well, we're very, very similar. And that's what I was messing up in business. I was just a martyr victim of suffering and used that for my false ego because I didn't have any success. But instead, I started looking at, you know what, Kris? But you gave it your all today. You know what? You learned how to put up a jack stud and a king stud. So now the door won't fall down. I wonder if you can use that. Hey, did you see that person actually gave you a did you see your employee actually complimented you today? Hey, did you see that you actually paid a compliment to someone? So incrementally, I started rewarding myself with a better self-image. moving towards creating higher goals. The reason most people will not create higher level goals is because they're afraid they'll never accomplish them. The disappointment of not accomplishing them. So as I build my self-image towards something, I'm willing to take a bigger risk. And this is answering your question from earlier about moving to New Hampshire. I had taken so many risks on myself, including, and I'm not proud of the way it happened, but including divorcing my wife. That was taking a risk on myself. And I can either use that to tear me apart, or I can use that to say, what have I learned and how can I be better from it? 75 Hard teaches you that as well. And so go ahead.
So when you did that for 75 Hard and you felt almost empowered by doing it, were you always an athlete in school? Obviously, when you went after let's say after the baseball injury, were you still active, still lifting weights, still getting your runs in, or no? Did it stop?
So yes, I did until I started a business. And once I started a business, all that stopped because I was working 10 to 16 hours a day, and it's remodeling, and I don't know what I'm doing. So I not only have cuts and bruises and bashes, but like it was physically tough.
Correct.
Then I found when I moved up to New Hampshire, I had 8-pack abs. I was probably in the best shape I've ever been in of my life. And then the real stress started hitting, and then the drinking began. And then I got 45 pounds overweight, and I didn't see it until I saw a photo of me one day when I was in my right mind. And I'm like, who's the fat guy? I'm like, oh crap, you are. And that did not resonate with how I view me as a person. And again, I turned it and used it for motivation, not self-deprecation, and said, well, I know how to, and my body knows how to. I just have to have the gumption to do it. And so I traded one bad habit for some good ones. And so instead of me spending 5 cents, I actually invested 5 cents into me, which gave me a 10-cent delta. And I started going, wow, that didn't take a lot of effort for me to get there. We actually invest money the same way because we're using it as a tool now instead of thinking that it's some wonderful thing to have. Like, money is worthless. Literally, it's worthless. But it is an amazing tool if you have access to it and know what to do with it. So getting my mind right has helped me use all tools better in general.
Well, let's go to your remodeling business. Why remodeling? And your words, not mine. You didn't know what you were doing. You just came out there and did it. And why choose of all things to start your own stuff on? What in the world were you thinking?
So I was actually flipping through the yellow pages back when those things used to exist, and I thought I was going to be a lawnmower. And I ended up getting a hold of a real estate guy, and he goes, I don't have any lawns that need to be mowed, but I have a countertop that needs to be put in. And I said, sold. And then I went and read on how to put the countertop on. And then that led to a roofing job. And then that led to a painting job. And then that led to handyman work. And the next thing you know, I'm not I'm a painter. I'm in this remodeling thing. And the employees that I brought in at first knew more than I did about getting stuff done. The reason that I enjoyed it so much is because it's immediate gratification. When you're in the field and you make something prettier and you can literally see it, it's a really cool feeling. And so I enjoyed that. And I was like, this is something. And this was well before I thought about, getting on stages or, teaching people things or anything like that. And I just was like, this could be a really good career if I want it to be. And I have a lot of autonomy. But I went backwards for a while because I didn't have any formal training. I didn't have any business training, nothing. I didn't even know how to build a deck.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why it's so odd that you would jump out into that realm. And then so you said you also did not have any of the speaking thing in your head. You weren't worried about that. That wasn't something. Were you thinking about that when you were on the job and saying, I want to do something like that? That's what I've always wanted to do. And then as you're working by your remodeling side, in the back of your head, you're thinking, I want to open up a business based on, self-development and building businesses and coaching.
So when I was 22, I got into Amway. It's a multi-level marketing business. And I didn't ever make any money at Amway, but for $7 a month, you got 2 audio cassettes. And I also got to go and listen to these wealthier people teach us, how to change our mindset. And I was addicted to it. It really was helping me a lot. Then when I'm in, remodeling and I'm no longer in Amway, I'm still listening to, we used to have MP3s that you could rent, or not rent, but you could borrow from the library. And you would literally plug your headphone into this little thing that was the MP3 and listen to it. And I started listening to Earl Nightingale and Brian Tracy and this whole lineage of people that were really out there helping people. And I happened to go and donate $5 to a halfway house. This fellow was standing outside of Walmart, and he had a
Mhm.
bucket, and I put the money in there and we started talking. And he's like, would you, I guess by what I said, he's like, would you like to come talk to these guys that are getting ready to get out of the halfway house? And I said, absolutely. So I brought 2 of my employees with me, and for 2 hours, I kind of just poured into them. And dude, it was empowering to watch men that had made poor decisions, beaten themselves down, gotten beaten down, scared to go back out there, to watch them start to believe that maybe they could do something with it. And I know how that made me feel. I know how it encouraged me. And I said, yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do this, because this is pre 2009. This is like 2006, 2005. There's no internet. There's no nothing. There's no teaching out there about that I'm aware of how to get on stage. I've come to learn there is. Dale Carnegie's done it for years, but I didn't
Mhm.
know any of that. I'm an
Right.
ignorant guy from Virginia. And then all of a sudden, I start seeing people pop up online and they're doing it. And I'm like, I believe with the right training, I can actually make a go of this. I believe I have the skills to make that happen. And
Mhm.
that's what we've done. And this is truly my passion. So
Right.
iconic is my passion.
Right.
Remodeling is just something, it's something that we did, we built, and it's grown big enough that it provides for a lot of different people. And it's
Right.
not something I want to shut down.
Okay. So after now you're making that decision that you want to open up Iconic.
Hmm.
Okay. Where when you first decide this is you're going to leave the business, well, you didn't really the business runs itself now. Your
Hmm.
remodeling building runs itself. You go on to Iconic.
Hmm.
There. Your first venture out, did you have an idea of what you want to speak about, or was it something that you had to construct yourself?
I had an idea of what I wanted to speak about because I'd been in a mastermind for 3 years where they were utilizing me to speak to 2,500 people on any given day
Mhm.
about business, about life. I was unleashed to talk about whatever I wanted to. And what I found is that there was a target market inside of there of entrepreneurs who were very empowered by the things I was saying. So I knew that it could hit home. What I had to realize is I had to start over at square one.
Mhm.
Personal development, especially on the Northeast, is a hard sell. Just is.
Yeah.
But if I tell you I can show you how to make money and give you what you want, over time I can start slipping in what you need. And that's what Iconic's all about.
Okay, so let's go back to your real quickly. So now you're doing Iconic full time, I would imagine, because you're traveling a
Hmm.
lot. Okay,
Hmm.
does it ever worry you with the housing market now? Does that ever worry you? So you because you don't want to be pulled back to that because it runs itself. But from what experts say, we're heading for a pretty big slowdown. Does that worry you at all, or are you like so far removed from that it'll run itself and I'll be okay. I'm going to keep going this way with Iconic.
So I haven't told anybody this online yet.
Oh boy. Oh yes,
Um,
I get an exclusive. I get an
so
exclusive. This is good.
yes, you do, because you asked the damn question. So we we started a development company, and we're creating our own economy. We have about So far, we have about 15 million total of investors who want to be a part of it. We go find the deals, we develop the properties, and we hold on to them. So, number one, I'll be creating my own economy with the development side of things. And Iconic, it's a certain price to be a part of what we do. But if we find that the economy is hurting people to the point where they can't be a part of it, the best part is I can lower that price to give people at least access to level one
Mhm,
and continue to support them. Because yes, I want to make money because I've invested a lot of money into this thing. I'm $500,000 into Iconic.
mhm.
So yes, I want to make money. It's a business,
Right.
But more importantly, this is my legacy. This is my purpose. So as long as there are people that are in need, we'll be able to fluctuate what we charge so that it is valuable to people based upon what they have to invest.
So on your development side,
Hmm.
that you were talking about, are you developing properties?
Yes.
And oh, wow. In the New Hampshire area?
Yes. New
And
England. Yeah.
strictly there?
No.
Oh,
No,
wow.
we're starting here. So we've started about 8 months ago, brought the team together. It's a very powerful team of people. Um, we collected the investors, and we're always collecting the investors. A lot of them are coming from inside of Iconic, because once we teach you how to make money, don't you want to make passive income as well?
Yeah.
So this will show you how to do it. Um, and uh, the next step is to continue to build here first, right? If I'm going to do 70 or 80 properties and it's going to be a build, I want to be here for it. But once we solidify that, we have partners all over the U.S. We can go develop anything anywhere we want.
Okay.
So it's not hard to do as long as you have access to the right people with the right levels of integrity to do it.
Right.
The main reason that it's such a good fit for us is we own a construction company, so we have access to all the subcontractors.
Right.
And so we know that if a slowdown is coming, and we have business to give those subcontractors,
Mhm.
and we keep thriving while other people are suffering, when that parachute comes off, we're going to 10x in the first year. And that's
Yeah.
what happened to me. That's what happened to me during COVID. When most people
Right.
took their foot off the gas, we kept pushing forward, and it was hard, even for us. I mean,
Yep.
a lot of restrictions, a lot of, I don't know, a lot of, you can't find roofing material or insulation or all sorts of stuff, but we kept pushing forward. And as soon as the economy barely started to recover, we just exploded. And that's one of
Right.
the techniques that 75 Hard teaches you. It's also one of the techniques that we teach people, is most people follow the masses.
Mhm.
Oh, they told us we can go sit at home and not do anything, and we're going to get paid. Yeah, that's what the masses do. I did the exact opposite. I built 3 companies during COVID.
Wow.
And so I believe that most people should look at what the masses are doing and consider doing the exact opposite, because that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to create our own economy with the people inside of Iconic, with the resources that we already have, the networking that I've done for years, and invite people to continue to create an economy with us. Because look, man, if I give you $100 for your service, for your bagels, you
Mhm.
have to go pay a bill with $100. Eventually, that $100 comes back around to me, and we've serviced everyone.
Mhm.
And it's a very easy concept to teach people. But first, I want to teach them about core values. First, I want to make sure that they have similar core values to me. I want to make sure they're of integrity. Because, like I told you, I have brick and mortar as well as online businesses. And I don't know about you, but the way I've run my life for at least the last 25 years, it's my fault as a business owner. I've never sued anybody. I've never gone back and asked for more money. We just make it right, and I learn my lesson, and I
Mhm.
change the next time. Well, that's the way it's going to happen inside of Iconic as we do this as well. It's like, you have to understand that we operate at a much higher level of integrity
Right.
than most places. So you're going to be vetted before you're allowed to come into the investment side of things. But as far as the opportunity to just push people forward, I mean, hell yeah, the economy might get harder, but I promise you one thing, they're going to start listening, aren't they? See, when
Yeah.
everything's going right, nobody pays any attention to do the work and focus on your mindset and do, but when they're suffering, people start going, I need help. Well, here's water. Guess what? They take it. They don't
Yeah.
ask, is it dirty water? Is it spring water? Is it mineral water? Is it, they don't ask those questions. They just, yes, thank you. Cool. And I'll slide
Mhm.
in what you need while you're getting what you want.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great analogy. I
Mhm.
tell you. So that begs to my next question. Where do you see Iconic or your new development company 5 years from now? Where do you wanna see it?
So Iconic will have 100 members at the top level. That's all we're going to allow in it. We'll have thousands of members at level 1 and 2, because that's infinitely scalable with coaches, and I have access to lots and lots of coaches. As far as the development side goes, I haven't planned the 5 year, because my team members are actually more intelligent about this than I am for scalability. I will tell you this. Um, I've done a lot of reading. I have people that run hundreds of millions of dollars of rental properties each year that are part of our team. We have an amazing real estate person who has also been a property manager. We have a civil engineer who is connected to everyone and understands the plans and the property. What I see that doing is becoming something that is a wealth vehicle for everyone that is actually connected to us. And that excites the crap out of me. Because when we can get money out of the way, we can actually start focusing on what life's really about.
Why do you think people concentrate so much on money?
Because we've made it God.
Mhm.
Look, we live in America, right? If our
Mhm.
cell phone doesn't work, if the Wi-Fi doesn't work, look how pissed off we get. Dude, we didn't even have these things 20 years ago or
Yeah.
25. They were too expensive. But now, so we're these consumers that have a certain baseline of what is acceptable. The rest of the world's baseline is down below this screen of what is acceptable. Ours is here. So the reason that we covet money so much is because the mass media tells us that's what makes us happy. The truth is, after about it used to be 70, I'm sure it's more like 100. After about $100,000 a year, money doesn't do anything for your happiness. Once your basic needs are met, money won't make you any happier. And that's why
Mhm.
I know some really miserable rich people.
That seems to be a common theme. It really does. Miserable, whether very, very wealthy, a lot of them are miserable.
Hmm.
Families a wreck.
Hmm.
They have affairs. They just have
Hmm.
gambling issues. There's just a
Hmm.
whole mess of stuff that comes with that when they don't have core values, and that goes
Correct.
back to your company.
Yeah,
So,
you need to focus on the pillars. And if you're too top heavy, you're going to topple over, right? These
and that's what
pillars
I
are
mean.
foundational.
So, your company itself, if you can, as I wrap it up, what do you stand for in Iconic?
So we have four core values in Iconic. I appreciate you asking. The first one is integrity. Integrity is not only doing what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. Integrity means wholeness. Integrity means understanding how you do anything is how you do everything. Integrity also means that the person on the other end, that you do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, that they actually understand what that means because you're the one communicating to them. And so we have to understand as salespeople, as marketers, as parts of business teams, that I can't just put it out there what I'm going to do. And if you don't understand, that's your fault. No, that's not integrity. Integrity is taking the time to make sure that it's whole. Our second core value is information. Information is communication because the only way to build anything as humans, what makes us so, so, so different is our ability to conceptualize the future and communicate it to work that we're doing in the present to move in that direction. Our third core value is innovation. Innovation means that we move and change without ego. So just because great grandma did it a certain way does not mean that we're going to do it that way. No, if it does not work, we have zero emotion about it. We do not blame people. We simply change our behaviors. And this is what is cool. When you add integrity, information, and innovation together, you get income, which is our fourth core value. And that is any goal that you collectively agree upon. Where two or more are together, we have the ability to make something absolutely amazing. So we add integrity, information, and innovation together. We place a goal together, and we can be assured that we'll get there as long as we do the work.
I can tell you, there's very few times that I'm at a loss for words. This was thoroughly enjoying talking to you
Thanks,
because
man.
I
It's a
I
pleasure.
really, I didn't when I first initially I didn't know. First of all, I jacked up the entire beginning. Um, uh, I didn't understand what I was really getting into. I didn't know if I was getting into a guy who was more concentrating on home building, concentrating on more of because I love the personal development, but I am a capitalist. I'm an entrepreneur. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I love them both. But getting into your space in the self development, that's something I really love too. But to see the kind of person you are standing on your core values, and the same thing with Tom, I had the same kind of conversation. Those are the kind of people that I like to talk to. And I always said
Cool.
on my podcast, I would never have someone on this podcast who I wouldn't be able to sit in front of the shop and have a cup of coffee with. And I can say that you, Kris Whitehead, are someone that I would love to have a cup of coffee with here at the bagel shop. It was actually a pleasure to talk with you here, have you on. It
Thanks,
was
man.
my honor, and I think that your company is a great company. The core values were that's something that took me back because it's very rare you see that nowadays, people will cut those corners. I just had a deal with one not too long ago. Cut those corners that it makes you like look at the entrepreneurism and capitalism, look down on it. And if you run the business like someone like Kris Whitehead does, you will be successful. I can say that. So with that being said, Kris, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you for taking your time. It was a long podcast, and I know we had issues there with the Wi-Fi. I will make sure this looks great for you because your company deserves that.
Thank you, George. I appreciate you.
Thanks for watching the Zapata Brand Podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast and listen where all podcasts are available.